I was broke in 3 weeks. 3 weeks I lasted. I had to live in my car.
Do you consider yourself as a digital nomad?
There's a definition of the word, but then there's what it really means, you know? You want to sell your business, you want to buy it. You think the business is worth selling. You think the business is worth buying. So it's a contradictory view. People are going, look, this isn't happening. I don't give a fuck. No way. And he sells stuff online, right? And he had all these weird dolls, like 1950s dolls, staring at me like this. I'm like, what the fuck? This is my life. I didn't have a life before I had entrepreneurship. I grew up on entrepreneurship, which probably isn't the right thing to do. But for me, man, I don't know. I was delusional. Delusion is so useful when you're doing something ridiculously hard. If they think hustling on the side, doing something else is a malakia, fuck. In the online business world, no one cares about your revenue.
Profit,
what did it do?
Margin, yeah.
Exactly.
Hello and welcome back to another Business Talks podcast episode, and today we have a very special guest, George Moulos, the founder of Ecommerce Brokers, one of the biggest e-commerce brokers website in the world and basically in the US. And George is a Greek Australian, and now he lives here in Athens, and also is a member of the list of Forbes 30 under 30 like us, but the 2021 I think. So welcome, and we are very happy to have you here.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So let's start about e-commerce brokers. What is this, and how you build this website?
Sure. So e-commerce brokers is a place where people can buy and sell businesses. Not a marketplace, a brokerage. Think of it as like a real estate agent, but for online businesses, right? So how it started, I'll give you the quickest version I can. 13 years old, I worked at McDonald's. I was unloading shipping containers. I did some construction, demolition work in Sydney, and I realized I didn't want to work with my hands anymore. My dad worked with his hands. My mom worked with her hands. Generations of people working with their hands. And I saw people building Facebook groups. And Facebook groups was a fun, good thing back then, 2010. And I realized, I read Gary Vee's book, Crush It. It was like, build communities, monetize later. I was like, I'm looking at memes all day, so I might as well start some Facebook groups and share the memes. So I started like class of 2013 or whatever it was for the students in that class in that year, and sharing memes. They liked the memes, and then I added some educational material, videos, stuff like that, and then slowly it became a community, 10, 20, 30,000 people. And then I said, well, if you like the Facebook group, like the Facebook page, if you like this, join the email list, check out the website, and slowly building up a community. And then I called some sponsors. I was like, in America they call it spring break, like companies for students to go on holiday when they graduate. In Australia, we call it schoolies. I call up schoolies.com with a 13-year-old accent, voice. Hey, can I sell your holidays? They're like, good luck. We'll give you 3%. So we sell $150,000. What's that? €100,000 worth of holidays. The best referral that they've ever had. And that's when the money started coming in. So that was Moulos Media. And that's when we had many sponsors selling cars, DJ photographers for parties and all this stuff. And then I quit the job at McDonald's. I don't need to go to unload shipping containers anymore. I'm an entrepreneur, blah, blah, blah. Went through there. And then I started selling these Facebook groups slowly. I'm like, if I did 2013, I'll do 2014, sell it, go to the next one. And that's when my eye caught these very, very weird forums who would sell Instagram accounts, and half the time you would get scammed. You would send money on PayPal, then you never see anything again. And YouTube channels and domains and all this stuff. And I said, well, if I'm selling these, and my friends who are in digital marketing from like Facebook groups for digital marketing, they want to buy some, sell some. So I started helping out with that, selling my own, buying some. I remember the first Instagram I bought was a food Instagram where you could post about keto diet and everyone would like it. They'd buy your recipes for muffins and all this shit. And slowly, that's how Ecommerce Brokers was born as a part of Moulos Media. And years went by in high school, and by 2016, I'm in my last year of high school. At home, my family, falling apart. And I'm like, I'm a manga. I don't need to be at home. My mom said, if you don't like it, you leave. I go, you know what? I will. I'm such a big entrepreneur. I left. I was broke in 3 weeks. 3 weeks I lasted. I had to live in my car. And for about 3 weeks, I lived in my car, and I would eat tuna cans because it was 50 cents. I'm eating on like a tuna can a day, eating these tuna cans. And I wouldn't even have a fork. I would use the lid of the tuna can to shovel it out. And eventually I finished my exams. I crashed my car. I lost my license because I was speeding. I crashed my car. I had to there's videos actually, I'll send it to you, of me, because I crashed my car, the front of my car made it so that I couldn't open the driver's door from the inside. But you can open it from the outside. So I'd be at a petrol station. I would get out through the window, open the door from the outside, and then close the window and shut the car off. So life was a bit ridiculous then. Then I sold the car. I sold a few businesses. I finished school. I'm thinking, should I go to university? I go, nah, I can do it. I'm a manga. I go into entrepreneurship. 3 months later, I'm broke again. I start a new business, HSE Notes, which is for high school, for example, if you wanted notes, just 50-page PDF, all of the notes from last year, from the best achiever from last year, you can get them for $5 or $10. I think the price was, so like €5. And that business did very well. It's a digital product, PDFs. And then eventually I sold that. And always I was doing small malachias basically with Facebook groups, domain names, or whatever it is through e-commerce brokers. But again, I had to go back to unloading shipping containers. So 2017 was Khalya. But I always had some back and forth with buying and selling online businesses. But the industry was very small at the time. And in 2017, I doubled down on Moulos Media because we would do some videography. So we would help like real estate agents film the house they want to sell. And then we'd make the video. Then we'd run the ads for them. And then we built up basically a real estate marketing agency. And then we did big shopping centers and stuff. And eventually, like most entrepreneurs starting out, I had shiny object syndrome. So I jumped on the next thing. Someone offered me a job to be a recruiter in Tokyo, right? So I go to Bali. He goes, yeah, we'll do a training session in Bali, then we'll go to Tokyo. I was like negative $5,000 on my credit card. I don't know who let me have a credit card. And eventually that didn't go well because everyone didn't like me in Japan. And then I'm like, get that. E-commerce brokers is the only thing that's working. It's making some money. Let me double down on this. And if it doesn't work, I'm driving it to the ground. Fuck it. Let me go all in. I went all in and finally, well, not finally, maybe 3 months later, I sold my first 50K site. That was a big win in the start of 2020. And then 2020 was quite good. And then I just traveled, spent all the money, tried to invest back in the business. That didn't go well. So 2021, the same time I got Forbes 30 under 30, I was negative 27K, right?
And this is funny because this list, the most people think that if you are in the Forbes 30 under 30 or even another list, you are rich, you are very successful, you do all the things.
There's right? There's two Forbes lists. It's a Forbes rich list and the Forbes 30 under 30. The Forbes 30 under 30, as it's technically portrayed, is a list of people who are up and coming, right? It's not you've made it. So like the assumption is always like, oh yeah, you know, you're rich. I'm like, I never said, I'm like, whatever. If you say so.
It means that you have talent, but you are not already successful.
You have done something and you're on your way to do
something. Overall, I don't think it's a bad thing. It gives young people hope and whatever. But it was very misleading. Because in entrepreneurship, you don't get a pat on the back. No one says good job. The only good job you get is you paid your employees, you paid your tax, and you can breathe for a month. And even in 2021, I got robbed on a Tinder date. I had 3 deals, multi-million-dollar deals that failed. So I was broke more than ever. Negative 27 grand Australian. It's like negative 20,000 euros. And I settled down finally in Cyprus and Greece and just worked all of 2022. Did nothing else. And then 2023, it finally hit where I wanted it to be with e-commerce brokers. Instead of doing 300 deals a year at average deal value of 10,000, making 10%, working, I would go to bed. I would set my phone to 1 hour timer, countdown. So I could wake up every hour to take calls from Australia, take calls from America, just to do everything. I didn't sleep. I had cortisol. This eyelid was twitching like crazy. It was hard. And eventually March last year, every year, like I said, we do less and less deals, but bigger deals. So now it's very low volume, but much higher deal value. So we help people buy, we help people sell, we've helped the private equity, we've helped billion-dollar aggregators, your Gary V's, all these people who want to buy businesses, that we help them do that. And people who want to sell online businesses, we help them do that. Most of it is North America.
Okay, so what do you do? No, just kidding. Okay, so you basically told us like a sum up of your story from 13 years old to fast forward 13 years after. We are the same age, you are also 26. You started a business in Australia, but now you live in Athens or you just travel?
Yeah, so look, each year I do like 3 to 6 months in Athens. From 2018 to 2022, it was like Victoria with my cousin in Limanas. The safest place in the world. and then so I'll do some months there, and then I would do and then I do like 3 to 4 months in Cyprus, usually 1 or 2 America trips every year, New York, in Queens, and then traveling as well. Like I'm a history nerd, like I said, so I'm always seeing an aqueduct, a amphitheater, wherever. Like this year, like.
Do you consider yourself as a digital nomad?
I don't know. There's a definition of the word, but then there's what it really means, you know. I wouldn't say that, man. I like the word. I made up this phrase at the start of the year. I call it guerrilla entrepreneurship, like guerrilla fighting, guerrilla entrepreneurship. Because normal fighting, let's call it warfare, would be trenches, whole armies. Whereas guerrilla warfare is you're being agile. You're jumping where you can. Like, why am I in Cyprus? Well, it's Greek. It's a great place to do business. And the taxes are very good. And like, I tried to set up a company in Greece. It took me 6 months to even get, halfway. I go, forget about it. Why are you doing this to me? And I'm going to pay more taxes. I was willing to pay more taxes. And they still made me do this. I'm like, forget about it. Cyprus is right there. It's lovely. I bloody love Larnaca. It's, honestly, I love a good cold winter at Larnaca. Just winter mode, grind set. Psst, I love it, man. It's the best. But like, for me, definitely Greece and Cyprus is the base. And honestly, I never really leave the Greek world. Because even when I'm in Astoria, Queens, if I go to New York, everyone's Greek. You can't sit down and have a cafe without someone saying, Dithelis. What? I'm still in Cyprus. What the fuck? But yeah, man, for me, it's Barcelona. I do a good couple months every year. I've been every year for 6 years now. So that's fine. I love like speaking Spanish and Latin culture, I guess. Not that Spain is Latino, but the Spanish speaking world.
So it's like you completely left Australia.
I haven't been back. Yeah. Too much trauma.
Why did you choose that? It's only about the taxes or the weather, or is it something else?
No. Look, the weather in Australia is good. It's colder here in winter. Look, for me, my story of entrepreneurship isn't I had a life and then I had entrepreneurship. I didn't have a life before I had entrepreneurship. I grew up on entrepreneurship. Even when I was even younger, I have this story. I used to go swimming every morning. My mum would take me swimming from like 6, 7 years old until like 13, 14 years old. And she would drive me to the swimming pool in the morning. We do training from like 6 till 7:30, freezing water. And then between 7:30 and 8, before my mum came and picked me to take me to school, we're just waiting there. And my 3 friends, very good friends, great guys, Tim, Nathan, and Jack Ford, their mum would give them some money to go buy some lollies at the canteen. And I'm sitting there like this because my mum never gave me $1. She goes, I'm like, can I have some candy? She's like, yeah. Do you have some money? I go, no. So, get a job. I'm like, all right. So I go to the head coach. I go to the guy who owned the pool. I go, Gita, I see there's a lot of scupidia around the pool. I'll clean it up for $2, €1. He's like, all right, go. I go, yeah, pick that up. It's clean. Because there used to be like carnivals. And he goes, all right, here's your $2. I go spend it at his shop and I get my candy. And then every other day I was doing that. Bam, bam, bam. And then the boys, my friends, were like, I want to make some money. So then we got this and he goes, oh, there's a football pitch. There's a football field outside of the pool. Go do that. I'll give you $5. I go, $5 Now we're making money. Pick that too. Little business. And for me, I always looked up to entrepreneurs. For me, my heroes are entrepreneurs. So I never really had a life outside of entrepreneurship. For me, as soon as I matured 13, 14, okay, I wasn't mature then, not mature now, but for me, my story of entrepreneurship is also my story, kind of full stop. I don't really have a life outside of this. And I gave everything from 13 to now. I gave every second of my waking life to entrepreneurship, which probably isn't the right thing to do. Like a lot of people talk about overpaying for things. Some things in life you need to overpay for, and it's not worth it. Like it isn't. Like that's the biggest thing I realized at the end of at the start of last year, Q1 last year, when the money came. I was like, that wasn't worth it. I lost most of my family, 95% of my friends, any money I did have. All my job prospects. I could be working at JP Morgan in Sydney on George Street, the main street there, with my friends, having lunch, fun. But I'm living in Victoria. I use Pandalimanas on a wooden bed with weird dolls because my cousin Thanasi, who's a legend, he goes to the flea market and he sells stuff online, right? And he had all these weird dolls, like 1950s dolls, staring at me like this. I'm like, what the fuck? This is my life. I could be in a nice suit, an Italian suit.
Very creepy.
Fuck. And but for me, man, I don't know. I was delusional. Delusion is so useful when you're doing something ridiculously hard. So that delusion carried me through. And I look back, was it worth it? No. But that's life. Some things that some things just you have to overpay for. And I think that's entrepreneurial success. A lot of the time you have to overpay for it. Because if you ask me, George, would it make more sense to go work a Wall Street job? Yeah, 100%. 100%. Is it what I want? Nah.
And I think most people that are doing all the sacrifices at the beginning are kind of the same way. Because otherwise, you're crazy.
Well, you
need a little bit of craziness.
So many people who I'll talk to about entrepreneurship, they're like, how can I prove that it works before I put the time in? It's like, you can't. That's the hard bit. That's the courage bit. That's the jump bit, Like this other malakia that I'm doing, the march across Greece, from the most northerly to most southerly point. That's ridiculous. On foot. Like, that's ridiculous. I'm like, last 5 nights, now that it's actually happening, we've got approved by Guinness World Records. We booked a camper van. I'm like, this sounds really stupid. There's like, on the second day, we're doing 70 kilometers on foot through a forest. I'm like, fuck it, that's a bit crazy. It's like, if I think geologically about it, I probably won't do it. But let me go a little bit blind into our plan, but let me go a little bit blind into it and just do it. And when I'm in the middle of the 70 kilometers, then I can hate it. And then I can regret it. But I'm going to still walk. Like, that's so much of entrepreneurship. It's slow grind, but it's slow and you do the best you can, but you just take the next step, basically.
So what are you doing now? Because you have accomplished so many things, so many deals. And now you are here in Athens and you have to work for your company, but also you do another things.
Good question. So
what's your life now?
It kind of hit me last year when, things started to actually work after 12 years. For basically a year, I thought about what else I should do. And where was it? I was in Denver this year. I was speaking to my friend Joel Kaplan, big agency guy, SMMA dude. We've done a lot of work together. And I'm like complaining to him. I'm like, what should I do? I want to do something, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, bro, you do comedy, you do stand-up comedy. But I did it under another name. I don't want anyone to know. He's like, dude, do it. Do you think one of your clients is going to hate you for doing comedy? He's going to think it's cool. He's going to laugh. And if they don't laugh, fuck them. You don't want them to be a client anyway if they don't have the same humor as you, at least in the same ballpark. If they think hustling on the side doing something else is a malakia, fuck them. And you need to be, at some point, be able to say, fuck them in business. You can't take every client. I'm like, all right. And from that car ride, when we were going to Flatirons in Denver, I was like, one business I always wanted to start, was always on top of mind, was media, like a media business. I've been doing vlogs since 2018, documenting my journey, but I wanted to call it a podcast where I can just talk about anything. And the first podcast I did, a Gringlish podcast, I talked about what I thought would have been like the most boring, biggest malakia ever. And I made and my editor was like, make a series, make a video of ranking the Roman emperors, right? To 99% of people, they're like, that sounds fucking boring. 30 minutes, I ranked every Roman emperor and why and all these things. And I was ranking Basil II, the Bulgar Slayer. And I was like being dramatic as I am. And we made that reel. We put it on Instagram. It got like 150,000 views. I'm like, oh shit. All right, wait a second. I've been obsessed with history my whole life. People like that? Fuck it. Let's do a series. So now it's like slowly I found by testing what works, what people want to actually watch. And now, so we started a Roman emperor review every single day. That's gone like 500,000 views the last 30 days. And like Golden Greek series, reviewing Greek entrepreneurs, famous Greeks from around the world. Okay, that's a series. And I like that because it's like a slow grind every day because I can't do anything else. I can't sprint. I know slow grind. And the podcast, the Gringlish podcast, doing that every week. We have a business podcast for Ecommerce Brokers. Media. It's very agile. It's very, you can run it from anywhere. And even the March Across Greece. We're vlogging it every day. So it'll be a media piece. And I just love the business because it's ridiculously scalable. You can do it from anywhere. And I enjoy it too. Like, it blew my mind. I'm like, my passion has always been history. And people like that too. 99% of people hate it. But 1% of...
They love it very much.
They're obsessed.
Yeah, they're obsessed.
They're like, oh, you actually said that they actually didn't... I'm like, oh my God, you know the details better than me. I would have a coffee with that person. I'm like, fantastic, great. So there's the media piece, there's the media business, and with that, we're producing a comedy show here in Athens in English. And that'll be a regular occurrence because I'll be doing open mics and some regular gigs around Europe, but you need a host and produce shows on your own, especially there's a gap here in Athens at the moment. There is no, how do I put this lightly without politicking? There's no solid, regular, weekly English comedy show in Greece at all. I've fought tooth and nail to get spots on Greek shows, right? But for all the Xeni who come here, there's no comedy for them. I was at Nomads and I was the only English comedian, English-speaking comedian. 15 people walked into the bar. They're like, it's Greek comedy. Fuck it. I'm like, but. I'm going up in 5 minutes. I'm hilarious. Come on. They're like, all right, I don't know if you're hilarious. I'm like, I probably won't be. I went on stage, 15 people watched. So it's like, there's a gap in the market. And for me, once you have the entrepreneurial itch, for how many years? 6 years now, I focused on one business. Okay, that worked. But it only takes 2-3 hours of my day maximum on a bad day. So I'm like, I can't have the rest of my day not doing something. That kills me. Me sitting there twiddling my thumbs, I'm like, I'm going to lose my mind. There's only so many beaches and historical sites you can go to. So I've got to do something. So that's where the media thing started.
You cannot work after these 2-3 hours to scale your business.
Good question. I've tried. I've run ads. I've done this. I've done that. I've done content on it. The industry of online mergers and acquisitions is a slow industry. It grows at the same pace that e-commerce grows. And it is growing 5-10% every year. But for me to get more market share of my competitors, it would cost millions to do that. And it's not necessarily quality. It's the Pareto rule, 80-20, but it's more like 99-1. So if I do 500 videos content, it may get me a few more clients, but it's not worth 500 videos worth of filming, right? And at the end of the day, it's this weird concept where the more I work, the worse clients I get. I'm like, what's happening? I'm getting lower value businesses. I'm getting buyers who aren't very serious. I'm just like, it's like that hurry up and wait. And it's like Augustus says, make haste slowly. Do the right thing. As soon as a client comes, serve them really well. Have a great testimonial, but don't go chasing clients. At some point, you have an agency. I had an agency. Some clients you're like, Jesus Christ, this fucking guy is breaking my balls. But it's $7,000. I need the money. Or I'm going to say no. He's calling you up in the middle of the night, 3-hour conversations. Eventually, you got to be like, not worth it. It's just not worth the $7,000. I'm going to save $15,000 by not servicing this client, So, yeah, it's beyond that point. It's like a good client will come in. We're going to become best friends usually. We'll go have a cafe wherever they are when I'm there. And it's like they'll refer me 15 other clients. So it's like the low quality clients are bring in so little money. And the high quality clients bring so much money. It's weird. It sucks. And I hate sitting on my hands, but it's a weird thing about my industry. Yeah.
Maybe we should start working less. Probably.
Yeah. No, this is a generic problem in service-based businesses.
Yeah.
That's a law in service-based businesses.
If you say my buy-side service used to be $300, $297 for a year. As soon as I increased it from $297 to $15,000, so many more people bought. They're like, $297. What the fuck am I going to get for $297? Pay $15,000. I expect a good service, and if you provide it, it's worth it, right? And immediately they refer me. Other clients are giving me testimonials. I'm like, all right.
It's a good way to filter the
100%. And that's
the ones you don't want.
I say to them, I go, look, you're an entrepreneur. I'm not going to bullshit you. The price is the price, because if you can afford $15,000 or $8,000 our minimum service, I know you're serious. We're looking to buy $1 million businesses. If you don't have $8,000 to put towards a good broker, we're not in the same ballpark. Buy small domains. You don't need my help. I'll send you to my best competitors, right? But that big upfront fee is to 1, see that you're serious, and 2, that you respect my service, right? And respect for service is, I feel sorry for you guys having an agency in Greece, because
you are right.
Fuck. Nah, I couldn't do that. Fuck.
Can you describe us your business model in the brokerage? Like, let's say that we want to sell Business Talks podcast. And we want to sell it €100, for the example.
Yeah.
So it's not so cheap.
I come to you.
I was going to say $100,000 at least.
I come to you. No, it's like for the example.
Yeah.
I come to you and I'm not selling you. I want to list it in your platform and then just wait and see my profits.
No. I would say, 1, how much money do you make? Let's say it's $100,000, and let's say you tell me we make $50,000 a year in profit. In the online business world, no one cares about your revenue. This isn't startup world.
Yeah.
We aren't talking about fantasy numbers of maybe what it can.
It's all about profit.
What did it do?
Margin. Yeah.
Exactly. In the last 12 months, the podcast made $55,000. I'm like, okay. How old is it? It's 2-3 years. Quality, social following, monetization methods. I say, okay, based on some other examples of similar businesses we've sold and market data, the multiple. So we talk about multiples, the net profit and the multiple. So let's call it $50,000. And let's say the multiple is 4x. It's worth $200,000. And there's 7 other examples where they're also worth 4x. Yep, it's $200,000. Now I tell you, great. Sign that I'm your broker. You're like, great. You're going to pay me 10% when I sell it. We find a buyer. We go out. We put it on our list. We put our email list. We start calling our buyers. Hey, you told me you wanted to buy a podcast, right? Yeah. Well, here it is. Looks good. Okay. What are we talking? $200K. You want to pay $150K up front, $50K after a year with 5% interest. We start negotiating for you. And then after 30 days of them checking your accounting or your P&L and taxes and all this stuff, they're like, it's legitimate. I like it. After 30 days, we transfer the assets. They pay you. We have a beer. It's a middleman.
So you also help the side that sells to also evaluate the correct way.
Yeah.
and also like validate their assets for your buyer to have a better experience.
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, we're not financial advisors, we're not accountants, we're not attorneys. We bring the professionals in to do that, but we know what businesses are being sold.
And you need to provide a good experience to both parties.
Yeah, exactly. And at the end of the day, I think the hardest thing about brokering, being a good broker, there's only 5 proper, experienced online business brokerages: e-commerce brokers, quiet light brokerage, website closers, empire flippers, and flipper. Everyone else doesn't do big volume, right? I think the hardest part about brokering, and why the thing that the good brokers do, is fight for their client. Because a lot of brokers who come in for 2 years and they give up because they realize it's a 10-year job, they'll be like, here's the business. They're like, I don't want to. They're like, okay. For me, I remember one time living in Victoria, I had a client, we were under LOI, a letter of intent, during due diligence, the 30 days of them studying the business. He goes, I found this thing about the business, 1 bad review, blah, blah, blah. And I remember I made a big pot of stir fry, right? And I had a panic attack because I've always had anxiety, had a panic attack. I couldn't eat. I was like, I just made the best stir fry, I can't eat it because I had a fucking panic attack. Then I go, okay. I go, that's 1 review. He wasn't even a client. He's a competitor, blah, blah, blah. He goes, oh, okay. So now you're going to buy the business? He goes, yeah. And that was like a 500K business. It's like, I fought for that. Even this year, it was earlier this year, I had a client during the final days before we were signing, the payment was going to make. This was a multi-million-dollar deal. And he's like, we want a certain term, a certain terminology in the deal. And he would completely change the deal. So much worse for my seller. I go, I don't give a fuck. No way. And like almost that angry. There's 3 lawyers on their side, 2 lawyers on our side. And they're all like very sophisticated people. I go, look, this isn't happening. We are not allowing you to change the terminology. Here's the email. I share my screen. You said that you were going to do it like this, the way we want. And now you want to change it in the last day? That's not good. There's no good faith. There's no good faith in that. They're like, okay. I go, but that's that fighting. And you can't fight with that much dynami if you don't know that 50 other deals have similarly been done like that. So the negotiating is where it really happens. It's literally, well, we made you $500,000 more here. They're like, yeah, take 50K. We don't care. You just made us so much more. So they're very happy after that.
But you do all this work by yourself or you have a team?
Contractors. Yeah, we have a lot of freelancers, whether it's from the website, graphic design, cold calling, cold email, the email list that goes out every week, ads, content, all up. It's like 23 people. But we expanded and contracted with the seasons. So like Q1 is massive. Right now, everyone's on holiday, right? November, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, that's where everything gets crazy again. Everyone wants to sell. So it's good that we can contract and expand as needed. Yeah.
And you focus only on e-commerce websites, or you are open to discuss about other businesses?
Everything, really. So SaaS, apps, agencies. I think I've made the most money on selling agencies. It used to always be Shopify businesses and Amazon businesses, but agencies has been the biggest one. FBA, Facebook groups, YouTube, Instagram, everything.
Your biggest deal you ever done?
Yeah, 50 mil.
And what was that? What company?
I wish I could say, but
what industry?
Apparel, yeah.
Okay, so it was like e-commerce also.
Yeah, Shopify. I don't know if they sell. They don't sell on Amazon, but they have some retail. Yeah, they're massive. It's crazy.
So which is the hardest part of a deal or the negotiation?
At the end of the day, I think it's just being a people person, which is crazy because I was super introverted as a kid and I didn't like extroverts. I'm like, Asimir, like, why are you being so loud? But it's really getting to know the buyer. Like I work for the seller, but I have to really understand the buyer because there's going to be points where they're at conflict with each other because the implicit part of the negotiation is you want to sell your business, you want to buy it. You think the business is worth selling. You think the business is worth buying. So it's a contradictory view, right? And you always think he's trying to get the better of you, you're trying to get the better of him, right? And you have to be in the middle being like, you're both getting the best deal, right? You want everyone to leave the deal happy, right? And somehow I don't get testimonials just from my client. I get testimonials sometimes from my buyers, right? So they're like, George was great. I didn't even pay him. It was great. That's the hard bit. The hard bit is saying during a point of conflict, coming to bring them together like, okay, you want 100K, you want to pay 50K. How about we hit 75K and you pay 25K in the next 12 months if the business does over 1 million in revenue? You're like, well, yeah, I know it will. Okay, well, if you have the confidence, let's do that deal. Or it might be something similar like that. So knowing where those pressure points are, knowing what is reasonable, using industry data. Like if I know that everyone is doing an earnout, kind of like that model I just mentioned, then that will be comfortable. But if no one's doing an earnout, I don't even talk about earnouts. Like we don't really do earnouts, right? But you need to be across the whole deal. That's why you need to be in it. As much as I have a bigger team, I need to be on those multi-million dollar deals. I need to be there, hearing, listening to everything. So properly negotiating is always going to be the main job.
And you're actually the main key contact person for both buyer and seller. So even if they don't completely trust the other side, they only have to trust you.
Well, yeah, because they're like, and that's the big thing. That's why, like, for me, everything has always been about integrity. Because if you don't have integrity as a broker, the seller's not going to trust you, the buyer's not going to trust you, and the deal is over. And you have no business as a brokerage. Even when, like, I've had buyers say to me after a deal, they've said, like, I hope you're my broker when I sell. Because we tried to get a bit, you told us to go fuck ourselves. I'm like, that's what I want. When you have a broker, when you have a real estate agent, you want them to be a shark. You want them to be aggressive because they're on your side. You don't want some like, oh, we want to pay less. Oh, okay. No, you're like, get out of here. Pay more now. That's who you want on your side. You want that extroverted, aggressive person. You don't want someone who's just going to let things go. Yeah. What was the question?
But how you build trust and integrity? It's not so easy.
No, 100%. It's doing a lot of work for free or for nothing, doing ridiculous hours, eating shit for a decade. Like that big $50 million deal, right? That he was referred to me from a client who I sold his business for $500K. That deal I told you about, the stir fry, that was that deal. Yeah. And then I sold another one of his businesses for about 2 mil, Australian, so like 1.2 American, let's call it, euros. And I remember that client in his testimonial to me, he said in the videos, like, I don't think he sleeps because he's always picking up the phone. He's in Europe or America. I'm in Australia, doesn't sleep. And because I woke up. When you rang, I woke up and took a call. I remember I would take calls. I'd be sleeping in my bed. Hello. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'd love to chat right now. Just phone on the chest, have a conversation in pitch black. But like, you have to, like I said before, like sometimes you have to say no to clients. Some clients you have to say yes always. Because a lot of the time, what I learned in that recruiting company, which I failed at, some people, if I want to hire an engineer, they're going to go to the first 5 links on Google, and they're going to put their information in contact info. Whoever calls first, whoever emails first, that's who they're going with a lot of the time.
Speed matters 100% in this
whoever's fastest, right? So like, I'm always the first, always. Like a lot of my competitors, they want to be marketplaces and platforms and we're a startup and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, look, it's George, 3 other brokers. That's it. And at any point, you want to call me if you're a high value client, this is my phone number. I'm going to pick up. Even now, for high value, here's my phone number, here's my WhatsApp, call me anytime. And that's why they come to me, a kid with no degree, do not come from money, do not come from status, nothing. And not guys who are 60, 70 years old with MBAs from Ivy League schools and all this status and all this stuff. He's like, well, I remember I was 21 when I did that stir-fry deal, right? And I was in LA with one of the 2 sellers. And he goes, how old are you? I had a beard, so I looked old, like I look old now. I go, 20. He goes, oh, you're younger than I thought. I go, yeah, I kind of try and hide it. I'm a bit insecure about it. He goes, George, you just sold my business. You think I give a shit? What color? Or how old you are? You made me money. I couldn't care less. I'm like, yeah, that's true. And from there, I was like, okay, just do a good job, have a good reputation. No one's going to argue with that.
Results matter more.
Exactly. So yeah, it's actually been quite easy to build a good brand and that integrity because I don't know any other way. I couldn't lie if I tried. I couldn't, like, it's even people who send us businesses. They're like, oh, my friend wants to sell. I go, okay, great. 6 months later, we'll sell. I go, hey, I have a check for 30 grand. They're like, for what? I go, you send me a client. That's the referral commission. He goes, what? I go, yeah, just give me your bank details. I'll send it to you. They're like, fuck, great. A lot of the time, most of the bad brokers don't do that. So many people don't do that for me, and I send them business because a lot of the businesses are too small. I never hear anything back from them. I'm like, did the business sell? They're like, yeah. I'm like, I'm not waiting for that check, right? So yeah.
You're only 26. You already have a successful business. Is there like an end goal for you? Or you just like, just see where it goes?
What I've realized the last year or 2 has been that achieving the success was never the goal. The lifestyle I lead, which is like, I like to work every day. I like to go to the gym. I like to see historical sites. I like to hang out with my friends, read, whatever. That costs nothing. A lot of the time, that's very, very cheap. Beyond that, it's living up to my potential, man. Like, if I know I can do something, I got to do it. When I'm like, oh, you know what? No one's walked from the most northerly point to the most southerly point of Greece. Fuck, now I have to do it. As soon as it's in my head, I'm like, I got to do it now. You know, like if I know me talking about history on the internet is interesting to people, they find it fun, they feel that they see value, I have to do it now, right? Like, I think that's that entrepreneurial itch. Is it to make money eventually? Yeah, well, you know, I'd hope so. But if it doesn't, you know what? Daxi, like, I don't mind. It's fine. I think whether it's comedy, okay, at the start, my shit wasn't funny. But if people are laughing and if I say more of that stuff, they laugh more, that's a day where they worked hard all day as a nurse, as whatever. They came here, they had a beer, they laughed their ass off sometimes, and then they left. That is a fair value, a fair exchange. They gave me €10. I gave them a fun afternoon and a fun night. For me, that is the beauty of capitalism. Call it great, fantastic. And now I can live off that. Fantastic. Like, if people find a march across Greece entertaining, maybe inspiring, cool. And I think slowly what I'm realizing now is that I thought I was doing this for money, like entrepreneurship for money, but I'm doing it because I enjoy even just the journey of it. And the feedback is good. Like, when you tell jokes, if you've just written some jokes and you say it in front of a crowd for 5 minutes and no one laughs at anything, what that you thought was funny. Sometimes I'll say a joke and the crowd will be like this. And then I'll say, like, I think like a couple of weeks ago, I was like, I'm never saying that again. They found that funny. I'm like, well, I have to say that more, right? Like, sometimes the things that you don't think are entertaining or valuable are what's most valuable. So you just do that more. I think as much as I keep punching, some of the punches will hit. Just do that volume and then focus on that good thing. So as long as there's people buying, I'm selling. Yeah.
Very nice story. We are so enjoy this conversation, and thank you that you are here.
My pleasure, brother.
It was amazing.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
So if you enjoyed, put the thumb up and also subscribe this channel. And in the description, we will have the links to see e-commerce brokers and have the opportunity to be the first ever Greek client to e-commerce brokers.
If you want.
If you want.
Maybe see you on the side.
So till the next episode, I hope you will be well, and don't forget to follow your dreams.